Blessings crew, and welcome to this week's offering. As promised, it's a little bit of a pelvis special, so we're going to be doing hips and kind of pelvis, lower belly work. Good for all body types and all kind of genders in there as well. But just making sure, as per usual, you look after your body, think about what you've been doing the last few days. Make sure if you're post-surgery or anything like that, that you are okay to do work that's got abdominal, hip, pelvis work in it. I'm going to start just with our usual of connecting ourselves up crew, and just beautiful story this morning of walking with Monty, who you've just seen walk through, and I could hear someone doing this most beautiful resonant Om, and there was a beautiful little Indian man on the side of the path doing Om Namah Shivaya, which is beautiful chant, beautiful mantra from within the Hindu philosophy, and Shiva is the guardian of yoga, so it was quite a nice just moment, just one of those little, okay, just remember where this all comes from. So our anchor, our roots, our where we come from, our where we stand, the land that we're on. So thinking about the whenua where you are, the land where you are, the stories of that land, and thinking of your thread into that land. And then you're bringing a practice from India and you're threading it through that as well, and that's what we're doing this morning. So, morning here wherever you are, whatever time you're picking this up. So we're going to come up onto the ball of our foot, and as we do that, you're going to notice whether you have a tendency to clench your butt cheeks, whether you have a tendency to pull your belly in, what you do in this region here when you come up onto the ball of your foot. Rock around a little bit, and then just come down, lift your toes up, give them a scrunch. Find it comfortable standing. So find the kind of shape. You might want to move around a little bit, because when we think about it, we do funny things. So I'm going to stand. We're going to think of a line from the crown of our head coming down through the centre, like a column, down through the centre of our body. And we want to come through the centre of the pelvis, so through the base of the pelvis and down into the space between our feet. Kind of feel like what we're working out is how our body sits on that centre line. Okay, so everybody's going to be different. And so just kind of finding in your mind, you might want to close your eyes, you might want to move around a little bit, but feeling your body gathered around that centre line, however it's gathered. Take a breath there. We're going to think of our pelvis as this kind of bowl, an odd shaped bowl, but a bowl that we're sitting in. Okay, so our upper body is sitting in our pelvis, and then we've got our legs coming from our hips down into that space underneath us, and our stability comes from there. So move around a little bit with your knees, open your eyes if you've had them closed. Then we're going to swing our hips just a little bit, get a little bit of swing going. Okay, so as you do that, I want to see if we can feel the internal aspects of our pelvis. So pelvic floor from back to front and from side to side, providing all that support so nothing falls out when we stand up. And then kind of moving our feet a little bit wider. Okay, so, and you might think, why is this so important with your yoga practice? So much of our yoga is around alignment. Okay, so coming into alignment with our body. But also if we're going to sit, we're going to meditate, even just because we sit so much during the day, this is where we sit into. So our posture massively impacted by what we do here. So you can notice I'm kind of swinging. I'm going to make a figure of 8 with my hips. Okay, so I'm circling one hip, and then I'm circling the other. Anyone that's done some belly dancing will know that this is one of those movements. Usually their feet are a bit closer together. I've got mine apart to get a little bit more feeling into what's going on in my pelvis. We're just going to warm up doing this. I'm going to just round in that shape. Think about shoulders, so loosen up your shoulders, loosen up your fingers. Then change that direction. I bet you I just didn't. There we go. The other direction might feel awkward. Okay, we'll have a favourite way that we like to figure out our hips. To those of you that have had a child or been guardian of a child and you have a tendency to throw one on a hip, you know, shopping on one hand, baby on the other hip, you're going to have one hip that does this easier than the other. You know, loosen up. So we're moving this pelvis, we're getting warmer. There, we're going to pause. I'm going to just take the outside edge of our feet and line them up. We're going to come around, soften our knees a little bit, so get them moving, and find where your spine is parallel with the floor. Hands loosely just below your knees. Roll your shoulders down. And I feel like your pelvis can roll around your hip. So we're going to put our hands on our saddlebags. We're going to come up slowly. Okay, feel what's happening in your pelvis, so feel it roll around. So one of the mistakes that we make about trying to reach our toes is that we think it's a reaching of the toes, it's a rolling around of the pelvis. So hands on saddlebags, round we go. Pause at the halfway mark so you can straighten out the spine a little bit. Bring the hands down onto just below the knees. Breathe. If you tighten your hamstrings, this is going to be quite a strong stretch. So bend your knees a little bit if it's too tight. Otherwise, we're stretching it out. Weight slightly forward. Find your breath. Breathe out some tension. Let's come into a half squat. So elbows onto thighs. Feet are just staying in that shape. Tailbone coming down, and then tailbone is pushing back towards the back of the mat. So we're extending that lower back a little bit. We're not tucking our hips under. We're pushing that pelvis back a little bit. And just feel that. Feel what happens in your body. Then we're going to lift those hips and we're going to tip around. Bring your hands, walk them down your legs to the floor if they're there, but feel for that roll of the pelvis around your hips. Let the head drop. Feel your breath, let the head drop, let the shoulders go. Climbing back into that half squat. So tailbone goes back, head lifts higher than the heart too. Just feel that. Come up slowly from there. Bring our feet in under us. Try that. Okay, so important to recognise that in all of our yoga practice, when we go to do a forward fold, we're not diving, okay? We're rolling around that pelvis. So, and then coming back up. Okay, so just kind of feeling for that roll. Okay, and then we're going to loosen up into our hip joints. So whenever we're working the pelvis, we're working hips. And we try and work all the way, all the different directions we can get our hip joints to move in. So we're loosening up. So if you need a wall for this, by hand on a wall, if you're feeling all right, take that weight over to the right, bring this left foot up, and coming up and out and around. But our focus, I'm going to put our hand there, we'll feel how much movement we can feel in the pelvis itself when we do this. It's all those muscles that attach into our hip, and they go in all sorts of directions. They all connect in really deep in that hip socket, which of course is part of our pelvis. Breathe, let that warmth just build up. Doesn't matter how big those circles can be, they might be little to start with. Let's bring that leg down, we're going to change direction, change side, we'll change side. So take that energy over to that left side, bring the right foot up. Again, we can have our hand on the wall if we need it. Got right hand on that right hip so we can feel that movement. Try not to hold your breath while you're standing on one foot. Doesn't help. Sometimes we think it helps us makes us concentrate. bring that foot down. Okay, and feel. What's the sensation in your hips after you've done that? And we're going to go side to side. Just shift one way, shift the other. Just go notice. Oh, it feels good. You might get some clicking. Notice I've bent my knees. Okay, we're not trying to do this straight legged. When you do, use that forward fold again, so lining the outside edge of the feet up. Come around to that halfway mark, so your spine is parallel with the floor. Notice if it's any easier to roll around your hips. Might just feel a little bit looser. Maybe you're starting to discover where those tensions are. We're going to keep going. We're going to let the head drop. We're going to keep rolling around as far as we can. Hands walking down the legs to the floor if we can. Breathe it out and let that space open up between the ribs. We're going to walk into down dog. So find your way there. So start in plank. And then we're going to use those hips, that pelvis to lift up towards your roof. So instead of pushing with the arms, really lift with those hips. So let the spine fall out of the pelvis, down towards the floor. And then let the heels come down, let those legs fall towards the floor the other way. And breathe. Then we're coming forward, we're going to bring the knees down. I'm going to walk the knees out to the edge of the mat. And we're going to pull the hips back towards the heels. So our kind of frog version of pose the child. We're going to lift up. And we're just dropping a little way forward. No strain in that lower back. So the hips are just coming forward and then coming back. Inhale, pull back. Exhale, sink into it. Bring the heart towards the floor. Inhale, come up. Those hips come forward just enough. Keep the knees in this one. And pull back. So if you just rhythm of your own breath, inhaling, coming forward. And exhaling. And when you're ready to inhale, come back. Exhale. The next time you come back, I'm going to thread the needle. And so we're going to come back, bring the hips back, let that left arm slide underneath the right, and look along that left arm, walk that right arm away. And we're changing sides. Come up slowly. And we just want to kind of notice. So we're going to sit on our feet if you can, okay? If you can't, just come around into something comfortable for seated. When we start to bring an arm across, so we're going to take our right arm and we're just going to bring it across the body. And we're going to just take hold of it. But rather than thinking just about your shoulder, see if you can feel from the right shoulder to your left hip some movement. Okay, so it's a little bit like we're coming across the body. You might feel it more on the right side, depends on what's going on in your body. And then change sides. So quite often when we do pelvis kind of and hip work, we have to work shoulders as well. And the reason is they're really connected up. There's a lot of kind of connective tissue, fascia that connects across there. But also, if we're holding all our tension in our shoulders, chances are we're holding it in here too. This might be less noticeable, okay, until we start moving it. Lifestyle as well makes this quite tight. So we're always kind of trying to not just be totally centered here, but make sure always the neck, what's the shoulders doing. So when you go to a massage therapist and you say you've got a sore back and they work on your neck, you're like, bet your back starts to feel better, they've got to work both. Okay, so we're coming back to this kind of shape here, and we're going to see if we can tuck our toes under and come up into here. Okay, so our cow head pose. Just notice if you can't bring the hands down, or an alternative is just tucking the toes under from here. Okay, so not coming up onto the ball of the foot. Let the shoulders drop. And take a couple of breaths there. Notice. And notice the shape. Okay, so we're starting to bring these knees out a little wider, which means we're opening up the space here and in here. And we're breathing, so we're going to breathe. And we're going to take our arms up if we've got that space. And reach, let the fingers reach up, feel all the way along the spine. So as we lift the arms and the shoulder blades, so you can feel that right down the spine. Take a breath. Open these arms out, give yourself a nice big stretch through the air. And then come back down. So bring the knees down. We're going to see if we can come into a squat from here, team. So some of you will be a not a chance. Knees out to the edge of the mat, toes to the edge of the mat, tucked under. See if we can rock back into a squat. Now, if you can't squat, grab a couple of blocks or something to tuck under your bum to support you. See if we can get these feet flat, okay? It might be in a half squat. This is a bit of a measure, crew, of what's going on in our pelvis, and particularly with lifestyle, lots of people can't squat. But what we want to be able to do is rock a little bit today, okay? We're going to do some more work in terms of just getting our hips moving. But let's just kind of rock a little bit if you can. Make sure there's no kind of twinging in your knees and your ankles. Now, crew that are very, very hip flexible. Okay, so you're going to do this very slowly. If you're comfortable in the squat, and only if you're comfortable in the squat, you're going to see whether you can drop a knee to the floor and come back up. And a knee to the floor and come back up. Notice I'm really supporting my weight with my hands, because these knees should not be feeling this. Okay, this is all in here. If you're just working yourself into your squat, keep doing that. Go gently, go slowly, lots of patience with your body. Crew doing this one, same thing, lots of patience, no forcing it. We're looking for ease in the body, not strain. One more each side. Okay, then we're landing. Okay, so we're going to find our way back to the floor from whatever shape you were making. Take your legs out wide and just give those knees a really gentle rub. Make sure they're okay. Notice I'm kind of rocking myself forward and back. Okay, so your rock might be low, or you might be able to get your tummy on the floor. We're going to exhale, roll around those hips. So remember, we're not trying to reach, we're trying to roll. Okay, so hands on the saddlebags if you want to feel it. Your pelvis rolling around the hips. Breathe. Okay, part two of that last one is we're going to bring our feet in, just to the edge of the mat, and you're going to go over that way. So notice I've just dropped my knees over. I'm turning. I can turn quite a long way if I want to. I can put a little back twist into it. Just very, very careful of these side joints. Okay, team. Lifting up, coming over. SI joint is where your pelvis and your spine join up. Okay, so there's little dimples on either side of your spine and your pelvis. Anyone that's ever done any SI joint injury will tell you they're not very nice to injure. So we do this slowly, we're not forcing it, we're just going from side to side and just working into that hip space. One more, coming around. And you're going to notice something, we're going to hang out on this side, okay? As you come around, your core is getting a big old twist here. And our core is really key in working with our pelvis. So come back around. Just bring the soles of the feet together. Let the knees just drop out. So Baddha Konasana. Quite often when we are working with pelvis stuff, hip stuff, we forget that the whole network of support for this whole area is our core muscles, back and front, and internal as well, so our pelvic floor. And so from your belly button down is super important. But if you've had surgery, particularly those of you that might have had a cesarean or big abdominal surgery, those abs might not have knitted back properly. There can be all sorts of issues. We might also have a bit of numbness. We might not be able to feel it so well. So there's all sorts of reasons why you might be like, I can't even get those to engage. And so part of working with pelvic floor stuff and pelvis stuff is getting awareness back in the body. So sitting like this, or if it's more comfortable with your legs out, do that. We're going to pop these little circles in that we do, and we're not concentrating so much on the circling of the spine as what sensations we're getting down low in our pelvic floor. Can we feel it? Can we even feel what's going on in there? And sometimes the answer is no. So we've got to kind of bring a new awareness to the body, or we might not be able to feel that at all because of injury, trauma, the whole lot. And so we're just being gentle. We're just kind of understanding, what does my body experience when I do this? And these circles don't have to be big, just enough to kind of get everything moving. Change the direction, go round the other way. Just noticing, what does it feel like? What's going on for you in your body? Sometimes we're not so sure. We're like, I don't know what it's meant to feel like. It's meant to feel whatever it feels. What we don't want is pain. Okay, so we don't want this to be painful. We bring it back to center. Okay, and we bring these feet in nice and close. Holding onto our feet. We're going to lift up along that spine, and we're going to come forward. Let's kind of drop shoulders. We don't have to get head on the floor. We don't even have to come forward, but it's that rolling again. We're aiming to roll the pelvis around the hips. You're going to start to lean right. So we're just going slowly today because we want to bring a different focus into it. As you lean over, feel what creates a sense of balance in your body. So if you can feel your lower abdominals and your pelvic floor supporting you as the weight of your head heads over towards your right knee. When you ask your body to come back up and out, notice how slow can you do that, what muscles are involved. So we've got those muscles on the sides of the core as well. These are leg muscles. Sometimes they have to overwork because we haven't got that internal kind of strength. And we're just feeling, what can we feel? Let that head go, feel the breath. Again, slow back up to center. and slowly forward. So come forward again, just feeling into that space. Then we're going to lift up. And we're going to take our legs straight out in front, crew. Just kind of noticing, give everything a little shake. We're going to activate our feet. So we're going to bring our feet, pull them back towards you. Roll the shoulders down, so Dandasana. Bring your hands down if they'll touch the floor. If they're more comfy on your thighs, do that. And we're going to point our toes slowly. Okay, if you get cramped, don't push too much. And as you do that, you're going to feel what happens in your belly and pelvis. So you're going to go back the other way. Put toes back. And push. Notice the difference. What does it feel like to go that way? What does it feel like to go this way? So everything's interconnected, right? One more. Pushing that way. And pushing that way. Okay. So top of the thighs, start to feel this one, especially if posturally you tend to be a bit slouchy. And suddenly we're trying to activate and sit up straight. And so top of the thighs, which run into here. So when we're tight in the top of our thighs, we sometimes find it very tight, hard to sit up straight because everything is kind of pulled into it. Nothing knows what to do. So just notice that for your own body. Because then we're going to come around from there and we're going to work a little bit into the top of these thighs by using pigeon pose. So sliding your left knee up to your left hand. Bring that left heel under the right hip. And it's this right leg that we're concentrating on as we slide it back. And so the top of that right thigh, we're bringing ourselves down through the pelvis and lifting up a little bit. And then we're going to rock ever so slightly that right hip down. Now, if you have a tendency to always go this way in your pigeon pose, that can be to get away from the stretch in the top of that hip. So just bring it down. Notice what's happening. Big deep breath. Might be quite a bit going on in here too. That's normal too. Just going to hang out there. And then we're going to roll the shoulders down. We're just going to bring the chin forward and we're going to look up. Open your eyes nice and wide. Then we're coming out of the pose. Little rock. Make sure everything's around the right way. Then right knee comes forward. Right heel under that left hip. We're going to slide that left knee back so that we're really working into that left hip. Drop the left hip a little bit towards the floor. We're going to feel like, whoa, where are we at? Again, we're kind of breathing, we're dropping shoulders, we're playing with the angles too, so we can kind of get a little bit of, oh yeah, where does it feel right? What's the angle that's good for my body? And we're going to lift that chin, we're going to look up, open your eyes nice and wide. From here, we're going to head back into down dog or into pose of the child, depending on your energy levels. So come back slow. Find your way into either of those poses. Long deep breath when you get there. Meeting back on all fours. And once again, concentrating a little bit on this kind of connection of these muscles up into the pelvis. So, oh yeah, everything connects up into there. So, when we do camel poses, we're often concentrating on our spine, okay? And we kind of forget, oh yeah, It's actually the front of the body that's stretching in a camel pose, right from the front of the thigh up. And so we want to concentrate on that a little bit today, and we're going to take our toes under behind us, and I'm going to start by just simply feeling like we can lift up from the knees. So you notice that it kind of feels like the chest's doing the work. It's not. It's this lifting of the whole kind of rib cage upwards. You notice that you start to go backwards a wee bit. We don't want any compression in that lower back. Okay, so we're just lifting. And notice if your tendency is to want to pull back. That'll be tightness here. So we want the pelvis to go slightly forward almost. It's going to feel like it's forward. It's not. It's that we're going backwards. But you don't want to be folding in and under. So feel that. Maybe bring the hands around to the lower back if you can, and just kind of roll the shoulders down. And just feel for that stretch in the front of the thighs. Make sure you feel nice and supported in your body, so there's no twinging under your hands. But a deep breath. Feel that big stretch coming into the belly, so lower abdominal getting a stretch. Bring it back down. Flatten the feet, sit back down. And walk the hands forward. Check that lower back feels alright. Coming up onto all fours, left knee slides forward again. Left heel under that right hip. Sliding that right knee back. And we're lifting that right foot up this time. Okay, so it's coming up behind us. And we're not trying to grab it at the moment, we're just feeling that feeling of lifting it up. And then left hand is going to your right foot. Don't worry if you can't grab it, okay? This is quite a difficult one because it's coming across the body. We're looking for the sartorius muscle that comes across and again comes up into the pelvis. So kind of come across the body a little bit. Breathe into it. Try not to collapse, so try and keep that right hip moving downwards, slightly forward, holding onto that foot. Breathe. Let that foot go. Changing sides, so come slowly back. Don't worry if you're waving at your foot team, even lifting it up as we bring that right knee forward is going to give you some stretch. We can use a tie from our dressing gown or an old tie to lasso the foot if we want to. If you've got a yoga strap, do that. Get yourself settled into the pose first and lifting that foot up. Okay, so we're not doing anything other than that just for the first couple of breaths. The body knows we're coming then. Then it's right hand to left foot. Find that foot, draw it across the body. So you're heading towards that right butt cheek. And still leaning slightly into that left hip. There's a little bit of sometimes. Let that go. Same pose coming out crow, so it might be a frog pose, might be a down dog. Long, deep breath. Try and lift through the pelvis crew, so give everything a wee adjustment, untuck that tailbone. And then meeting on all fours, walking our way up into that camel shape again, checking in, making sure everything feels alright with that, tuck the toes under behind us. So So already after that last pose, you might feel like, oh, it feels a little bit different in the front of the hips. That's good. Okay, that's where we want to feel it. Check the lower back, make sure it feels okay. If it's feeling all right, continue. If it's not, pose the child. Okay, so left hand's going to find the left heel or the back of the left thigh. Hips are going to come forward. Right arm's going to lift. We're going to follow that thumb with our eyes and reach it up. Big deep breath. Feel that lift right up the front of the body. So we're really kind of extending those muscles. That hand comes down, we're changing sides. Slow. Reach, lift, bring the hips forward. Down we go. So bring it down. Frog pose. So we're going to take our knees out to the edge of the mat. And just come slowly back. So heading back slowly. Bring the hips back towards the heels. Stretch the arms away. Then we're going to straighten the needle again. Left arm slides under the right. Look along that left arm. Changing sides. Coming up. We're going to sit ourselves down and around again. Take our legs out nice and wide. So, and a little bit of noticing through what does it feel like. And if we were to kind of do that exhale, slide forward. If it's starting to feel tender in your hips, okay, so it's starting to feel like, oh, they've done a bit of work. Just be very gentle, okay? We don't want to strain when we're doing this kind of work, and it's easy to because we get a little bit carried away sometimes, so just go slow. Likewise, you might actually find you can move better, so we kind of never know till we're there, eh? So it's going slow. This next one we're going to put a hold in, so find that kind of 80% rather than 100% version of it. And a wonderful, keep that spine nice and long, nice and straight. Feel the pelvis rolling around and just breathe into it. Notice your breath. Let that exhale take it that little bit deeper. We're going to walk across to that left leg. So just come around slowly. Come down that left leg. down slowly to that right leg. So everything just starting to kind of feel a little different. And then bringing it back around to center, lifting ourselves up and just kind of bring these legs in slowly. They might be feeling that, ooh. And come into open cross-legged curve. Been working these particular movements for a few weeks now and keep it going. And just the first thing though, we're going to do some circles into that pelvis again in open cross-legged. So just going slow, they might be big, they might be little. We're bringing that focus back to the pelvic floor. And sometimes these kind of circling movements can be really soothing. So don't be afraid to use them in your practice. Just some rocking, some rolling, bringing it back to center. And sometimes in practice, and it depends on what kind of background you've got in terms of yoga, we forget about finding things that feel nice, that our body enjoys doing. And sometimes that's exactly what we need, is to feel good, not to feel like we're having to work at it all the time. And so some circles, some beautiful twist work just that takes you into that space where you can feel a little more relaxed, a little less pressure to get somewhere with your practice. And that's the same with these ones. Full lotus is not the aim, is not a goal, is not something that you necessarily want to have on your bucket list. This is about ankles and feet and knees and hips. And so whichever foot's ended up in front, we're going to see if we can pick it up. And we're just going to hold it with the opposite hand, okay? So cradling it, okay? And just kind of moving a little bit into that leg, okay? So lift the knee a little bit, lift the hip a little bit. Just kind of get some movement. Feel like it's not stuck. If it's really feeling heavy and really feeling like, no, I can't, put the foot down and just lift the knee up a few times and just be gentle, okay? So we want some lightness, and lightness isn't about physical weight, okay? Lightness is about the tendons and the ligaments and the muscles feeling like they can move the leg without too much effort, or that they can relax and just let the leg be moved, which is the other side of this. Okay, so first from there is onto our calf muscle, so the crease between our calf and our thigh. And we're going to lift up, we're going to roll our shoulders down, we're going to give everything a little wriggle. We're going to try that again. We're going to bring our arms up and out in front. We're going to bring the left arm underneath, right arm on top, and just stretch those shoulders forward, let the head drop. And let those arms come down. And this foot, same foot, if it will move up onto the thigh, do. Okay, so into our half lotus. This bottom foot supporting that knee. Okay, so we're not letting that knee float around in space. We've got that support. I talked about it last week, was just supporting it so we're not kind of trying to flick our hip bone up out of the socket. So you can hang out there for a moment, or if that's not where your foot's getting to, we can be either floor or on that calf muscle. I'm having trouble with that today. Whichever foot is up, we're turning towards that knee. We're going to come around into a twist. So just come around slowly, looking over that shoulder. Bring that back to center. And we're going to change sides. Okay, so whichever foot was up, we're now cradling the other foot. So we've lifted it up and we're holding on to it. And doing those just little movements, just kind of easing into it. If it won't come off the floor, leave it on the floor, just move that knee a few times. Get that stretch into that ankle a little bit. Starting to get a little bit wintry here, crew, so for those of you in the southern hemisphere, you know, we're heading into that period of time where your practice needs to be a bit warmer. And if we're not doing a hot practice like today, we're not doing a lot of heating work, making sure the rooms, that you're staying warm, okay? Particularly for Shavasana, you lose that body temperature. So I'm going to bring that foot onto a calf, the foot will go there. This time it's right underneath, left on top. Cross at the elbows, cross at the wrists if we can, otherwise give yourself a hug. Elbows come forward, fingers lift, chin tucks down. And release those arms down, and if we can, we're moving our foot up onto the thigh, into that crease, or we've got it down on the floor, or on this, staying on the calf, wherever feels right. Whichever leg is up, that's the knee that we're tending to for the twist. So go around slowly, looking over that shoulder. Bring it back to center. Unravel these feet. And legs go just kind of either side of the mat, give everything a little shake. We're going to take it down to the floor for the last sequence and then Shavasana. So if you are kind of at that point where you might need some socks, might need a jumper, then kind of do that, kind of gather the bits and the pieces. And then take yourself down so you're lying on your back. And we're going to bring our knees in towards our chest. And we're going to rock slowly around that lower back. So we're kind of massaging the area, the back of the pelvis. So we're just going around slowly. And we're going to change direction, go around the other way. And then we're bringing it back to center. We're going to bring our feet down. We're going to take a foot either side of the mat. And you're going to drop your right knee towards your left foot. Exhale. Feel some of those muscles that we've been talking about. So top of the thigh, into the hip. Inhale, come up. Exhale, let that left knee drop in towards that right foot. Take a couple of breaths there. Then we're going to alternate with the breaths. We're inhaling, exhaling, right knee, left foot. Left knee is going to start heading out to the side as well. So inhale, lift up, exhale, both knees heading right. Inhale up, both knees heading left. So just go slow, almost like a massage for a whole lot of the parts that we have worked today.
hands, one each side. And then we're going to take our arms out wide from the shoulders. And we lift our hips up and over to the left, maybe 10, maybe 15 centimetres, and let those knees go right. And we're going to look along that left arm. Into the twist we go. Then we've got the option, taking that right hand to that left knee, and draw that knee up into your chest. In line with the hips, so not trying to drop it on the floor. Left shoulder stays nice and anchored. And then slowly slide that back into place. Bring the knees back to centre, hips back to centre. The hips are going right, knees go left. Simple twists there, so head just looking along that right arm. Then our left hand to our right knee. Option of drawing that in towards our chest. Again, not dropping the knee towards the floor. Keep it in line with your hip. And breathe. Bring those knees back to alignment, back to centre. Bring the hips back to centre. And take the soles of the feet together. Let the knees drop out to the side. Bring the arms up over your head. Stretch it out. Keep that neck nice and long. A few breaths here. Just make the same shape with your arms as you're making with your legs. Or if your shoulders just can't do this one, just bring hands alongside the body instead. A few nice, long, slow, deep breaths here. Then whichever shape you want to make for Shavasana, now find your way into that shape. Might be traditional Shavasana with your legs extended, your arms alongside the body, palm facing up, or it might be feet tucked in if your lower back gets a little bit tender. Hands might end up on the tummy, might stay over your head. Just feel what feels good. Shavasana teaches us to rest. Really important part of our practice that gets neglected. Or we think we're resting when we've got our phone in our hand, or all the other kind of distracted versions of resting that we can do in the modern world, as opposed to the kind of rest that comes from watching clouds, or a bee, or a spider making a web, your dog having a dream, patting your cat. So I'm going to sink into just slowly letting your body release that last bit of tension into the floor. As your body grows heavy, give yourself that permission to let go into, even if it starts to feel like you're going to fall asleep. Just feel that feeling, feel your body just gently dropping through those layers. We're aware after a few minutes that the mind might decide it wants to go busy, 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 busy. Bring your focus to the breath. And if you're wanting to stay in Shavasana for a while, or even move into your meditation practice, now's a good time to just turn the volume off. If you need to come back to the day, we're going to take 8 long, slow, just really aware breaths together. But just counting gently with yourself. If you lose count, I'll bring you out in a couple of minutes anyway. Let's take 2 slow breaths together. Breathing out, really letting that air out. Feeling that little pause. Inhaling. And that exhale, letting it go. And when you inhale, start to move your arms up, over your head. Walk your feet up your mat if you haven't already. The toes a wriggle. We're going to turn over onto our left side, come up slowly to seated. And just sit for a moment and come back to that beautiful kind of column from the crown of your head down through the center of your body. Feel yourself gathered around that. So your body kind of aligned along it in its own way, in its own kind of quirks and ways of moving. And feeling like you're gathering your energy along that line. We're going to inhale, you're going to reach our arms up above our head into that beautiful energy, and then bring some focus down to the heart space. Just pause for a moment at the heart if it feels alright. Think about bringing some of that energy both into your body and then out into the world that we've created, no matter where we are in the world. And many blessings, everyone. Thank you for your support. Enjoy whatever the practice brings you, and look after yourselves out there.